Welcome to this week's edition of Landscape Smart, brought to you by Rademann Stone and Landscape Company. Lines are open 920-923-1450 or 888-900-1450. If you wish to go the email route, it's kfizstudio@gmail.com. And with that being said, we welcome the one, the only, Ron Rademann.
Good morning.
Good morning. Happy Saturday.
Yeah, well, and it's opening day at Rademann's here today.
Hey!
We're finally open on Saturdays here. I don't know, maybe last Saturday would have made more sense when it was 70 than this Saturday when it's 38, but nothing about April ever makes sense, does it?
Not in Wisconsin. Not in Wisconsin. And then we can say good morning to Master Gardener Patty, who's with us today. Good morning, Patty.
Good morning.
Good to see you again.
Yeah.
And your news is?
Master Gardener plant sale is 3 weeks from today.
It's coming up.
Another opening day coming
Another
up.
opening day, yeah. Anybody? All these opening days, anybody doing brats?
I haven't thought about that. Maybe we should.
Have a little brat fry there while you're buying your tomatoes and.
Yeah, now you tell us. We could have did brats. My brother likes cooking on the grill.
Hey, well,
yeah.
Next year.
There we go.
There you go. All right, the lines are open. If you have any questions, we recommend always calling in early in the show so that we can get your answer out. If you call in late, then there's a couple of calls. And the other caveat, I've got to remind you, I can only handle with this system one call at a time. If I have somebody on the air and you're calling, I can't answer the call because it would take whoever's on the air, like Ron and Patty, would take them off the air. So call after the other caller hangs up, and then we'll get you on the air. So just a little.
It will ring.
It will ring, yeah.
But it'll ring 100 times.
Or let it ring, and we'll get to you. But I can't take two calls at once with this system, which is unfortunate because I'd like to say, hello, put you on hold, but I can't do that. So anyhow, little rain again this week.
Yeah, I think it rained 6 out of the 7 days is something along those lines. I don't know if it matters much if it's 5 out of 7, 6 out of 7, or 7 out of 7, but it was most every day. Yeah,
it was pretty much.
And plentiful amounts. We got a caller. Good morning. You are on the air. You're on the air.
There.
Hi.
Hi there. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
All right.
I've got several questions. So my first question is, Ron discussed applying 10-10-10 fertilizers the other day, or last week, and so I want to know, how would I correctly apply that around my plants? Could I take 1/4 of a cup of fertilizer and sprinkler about? How would I do that correctly?
Yeah, if you in like a 10-10-10, that's not real strong, so you could use probably like you said, maybe 1/4 of a cup. It's also better to err on the side of caution and put 1/4 of a cup down, or 1/8 of a cup, and then wait a couple weeks and do another 1/8 of a cup, something like that. But in spring like this, you can't get in too much trouble. Now, if you start using more like a 20-20 or something like that, again, that's, 20-20-20 has twice as much nitrogen as 10-10-10, so, and twice as much phosphorus and potash too, which you don't have to worry too much about burning your plants out there. And if they don't have leaves on yet, you can get away with a little bit more too. So, most of those, we almost call them farm fertilizers more so than, but you get a lot more bang for your buck that
You'll know if it's too much if the leaves are turning
burn
yellowish and not looking the right color.
But by then it's too late.
Yeah.
So you want to be a little more careful that way. So, I would maybe, as things are starting to leaf out here right now, and then if you fertilize and it looks like, if you're not sure, just watering it helps too. because that kind of displaces this fertilizer that you've put down. It moves it around a little bit more in the soil. So, you could put a eighth of a cup or a quarter cup down, depending on the size of the plant, and then just if it isn't raining regularly, then just water it, and that'll kind of move it around too.
Wouldn't it be almost easier to use a water soluble instead of granular?
Well, if you're yes.
Yeah.
The ones that you mix with water are a little bit safer, let's just say. And if you've got mostly established plants in your yard, you can get away with more of this, commercial farm fertilizer, let's call it. If you have new plantings or, new and more vegetative plants, even like if it's like hydrangea would be different than spirea, you can get away with a little bit more on dogwoods and spireas than you can with the more vegetative plants like hydrangea. So that kind of runs you right back into a circle, Sue, to know that how's that for a what you think is a simple answer, but it is a little more complex, yeah.
So with all this rain, and if I applied some last week, what would you suggest going forward?
Oh, that's going to do really that. If you did it last weekend, it should have worked really well because all this moisture that we got, and even we're using a little more of the farm fertilizer at this time of year too in the nursery because it's cooler yet, and we're getting plenty of moisture, and of course we can irrigate if we need to, but so you actually it timed out pretty good for you, and it's just because we did have all that rain.
And is this something you'd rather sprinkle around the roots or put in like the middle of the plant?
Well, kind of do like a donut, let's just say, and kind of sprinkle it around the edges or the drip line almost of the shrub. And then if it's in like a bed that has shredded bark or soil or anything like that, you could kind of take a tine rake and just rake it in a little bit, even just so it kind of gets down an inch or two beyond the surface. And that kind of blends it in a little bit better too.
Okay.
So
All
that
right.
would actually, if you have decorative stone, you can't really do that.
Okay. All right.
Then you have to just, take the garden hose and then, don't put it on like a mist or anything like that. Do right out of the hose and just kind of,
Okay.
follow that fertilizer right around with the end of the garden hose.
Okay. All right. My second question is, I'm a raspberry lover, but I don't like how they take over the garden.
Yeah,
So
that's bad.
My question is, could I put this in a raised garden, which I think I can,
Yeah.
but what would be the best way to do that, and how can I make sure that they survive the winter and I get them for the next season?
You can put them in a raised bed, and they'll survive the winter just wonderfully. It doesn't even have to be a very deep raised bed. Like we've got one at the Junior Master Gardener bed at the UW, and it's only like a foot. I think it's a foot tall, or maybe 18 inches, and they will still escape on you. Just so you know that there will still be escapees. So you just got to keep up and keep after it because that's what raspberries do.
But if you would put it in a raised bed, you're putting like an edge around
Yeah.
it then, whether you would use, timbers or block or anything like that. And even if you just, like Patty said, raise it up even just a couple, 3 inches, it kind of defines the edge of the border. And then if you could just even spot spray, like at Rademann's we have like chickweed killer. That would actually, it would kill off raspberries.
Any of the bad guys that get out.
Right. So you could just kind of spot spray those, once a year.
Sure.
And that would knock that in, just obviously you have to be controlled, use it outside the bed, not inside the bed. But that way you wouldn't have to worry. And it would, if there was other weeds, it would kill them and it wouldn't hurt the grass. But that would probably be the best way to kind of get those escapees out of there.
Another question, because I love my raspberries. Is that something where if I have two different varieties, I can't have them close to each other?
Well, I don't know if that would be an issue. Raspberries are what raspberries are. They do what they do. I don't think they,
Hybridize.
hybridize. I don't think that happens.
Okay. So
Or you might end up with a great
Yeah.
a red raspberry that tastes like a blackberry. Who knows?
Oh boy, that would be sad. That would be sad.
I don't think you have to worry. I think they're
Is
fine.
there any ways to then correctly cut back my raspberries so I can keep them at a nice height? Sometimes they seem to get so leggy.
Right. We have a bulletin at the extension office, and it tells you exactly what you need to do. And I think I would still have access to that if you would email me at UW at the extension office, and I could get it in the mail to you.
Okay.
You might even be able to find things like that online now, Sue. Even if you search like UW and raspberries
Yeah.
and
And
okay.
they have what they call the learning store, and
Okay.
all those bulletins for that kind of stuff is in the UW at the extension learning store.
All right. And then I have one
and
last
then
question.
and that would be a good if you work with like the UW extension, you're working with the Midwestern version
Right.
of raspberry production, which is way more important than what you would if you just search online for
Yeah.
raspberry help, you might end up with a bulletin from
Alabama.
From Alabama, right? And of course, it's a whole new set of
Yeah.
information there. So work with the UW extension. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. And then I have one last question.
Sure.
You talked about crabgrass and quackgrass, but how do you get rid of both of them? It seems like crabgrass you can get rid of, but quackgrass you can't.
Right. Quackgrass is way too similar as bluegrass is, and fescue and ryegrass, which is what a lawn is made up of. So you can't selectively kill out
No.
quackgrass because so all you can really do there is take your sprayer with a grass killer and just spot spray those spots that have the quackgrass in them, and then the bluegrass will either fill back in or you might have to reseed. There's no way to prevent, or get rid of quackgrass other than spot spraying it like that.
If you try and dig them out, there's going to be one little piece of rhizome left, and it'll come right back.
Yeah, so you can't even dig it. Right, you can't even dig it out. The only way you can get rid of it is spot spraying it.
Okay.
And crabgrass is annual, so that's
Well, we like cleanup out at Rademann's. It's got to be a glyphosate product, so it would have to have originally, or you go back 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, and when Roundup first came out, it was only Roundup was only glyphosate. But now Roundup has so many different products, you can't even buy Roundup without reading through all the ingredients on the label to figure out what you've got. So I intentionally avoid Roundup because to me it's just too confusing. It's almost like paper, and there's a big difference between copy paper and toilet paper. And that's
Really?
And that's what Roundup is today. They both have two very distinct purposes. And so I avoid the Roundup products just because, to me, if you grab the wrong one off the shelf, you've got a real problem. No different than if you
Use copy paper.
use copy paper. So we probably had enough of that discussion. But
Great analogy, though. One of your better ones.
yeah. So
Just look for something that says glyphosate.
So, or if it does say cleanup on it, and it's cleanup with a K, Kleenup, cleanup is distinctively a grass killer. So that's a great killer of quack grass.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I really enjoy your show. You guys have a nice day.
Thank you very much. Good luck with all your projects here. We're going to take our first break. We got an email we'll take care of as soon as we're back.
Sue's getting better. She's smart enough to call early in the show now. When you have 3 or 4 questions, you get better as we move on. So as we said, Rademann's is open today. You can stop on out. We're just 3 miles south of Fond du Lac, and then you exit off Highway 41 to the east, and we're on County B, and we're right there at the crest of the hill.
Landscape Smart, brought to you by Rademann Stone and Landscape Company. Lines are open, 920-923-1450, 888-900-1450. Email, it's kfizstudio@gmail.com, which Tom used and poses the question, is it too late to put down pre-emergent step 1 fertilizer?
That's a perfectly timed question, because I was talking with Joe yesterday afternoon out at Rademann's, and I said, if somebody's going to put step 1 down, they can, if they want to come out today as being Friday or Saturday or Monday, and you want to put step 1 down, make sure that if they do buy it, they put it down immediately, not that they wait a week or 2. So I would say to put if you have step 1 at home and you're ready to go, put it down right away, or get out to Rademann's today, get it picked up and get it put down today, tomorrow, Monday, because I think by the time it's going to warm up again on Tuesday. We're going to be back into the 70s. And so you kind of got just a tiny, tiny window here to do step 1 right now yet. And in step 1 can be important, as Sue said. She's got some, crabgrass it's literally germinating as we speak. And the same goes with preen. Those are pre-emergent grass killers, weed killers. They're not killers, they're preventers. They prevent germination of weeds and prevent germination of crabgrass.
Only the annuals that have seeds.
So it only will prevent something new from germinating. So if you're going to do step 1, you got really just a couple, 3 days here. And in some cases, it may be a little too late, but I would probably still try it. Try it yet. And because it's a little too early at the same time to move on to step 2. So I would do step 1 here yet, if you could do it, today, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And then by the time it gets to Tuesday or Wednesday, then I'd maybe just hold off, and then it's almost a little early yet for step 2. I'd wait another week until a few more of the dandelions get a little bigger and the weeds start looking a little bit more like weeds.
All righty. Got a caller. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. I've got some 10-10-10 fertilizer, and I'm just wondering, is it okay if I put some of that around my spirea plants in the west side of the house?
Yeah.
Or what should a person put around there?
Well, again, 10-10-10 is, I'm assuming it's, like we call that more of a farm fertilizer than a gardening fertilizer, but only being 10% nitrogen, and here in early mid-April, you should be okay yet.
Yeah.
So especially a tougher plant like a spirea, I would be a little cautious with it. Maybe go on if you're not sure, put a little bit less down. Don't say, well, because we are getting a little late. I'd rather use, these farm fertilizers, as we say, like that, more during the more as a winterizer, more to putting them down more in November, December, or in March. Then so you're kind of right at the end of the season for it. So I would use it on the lighter side of the application, and once we get into a week or two here, as we start getting into the more 60s and 70s in May, hopefully, then it's really too late for those types of fertilizer. But established plants and tougher plants like spirea, you'd be okay yet right now.
Okay. I'll get off the air. Okay. Well, you have a nice day.
All right, thanks for the call, and you do too. Okay, whoever was trying to call in, line's open now. Give a shout, 920-923-1450. I'll mention here. Okay, here's the caller. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. I would like to let the listeners know about an African Violet show that will be happening in 2 weeks. This is going to be May 2nd and 3rd, and it will be in Oshkosh at St. Jude, the Apostle Church Hall, and the address is 531 Knapp Street, Knapp Street. And the show will open on Saturday at 10 a.m. to 4:30, and Sunday it will be from 11:30 to 3 p.m.
Okay, African Violets.
Right.
Alrighty.
We have a master gardener that gets into that very much.
African violets?
Yes.
Alrighty. And
He probably belongs to our club.
He
Is that
probably
Doug
does.
Kinshu?
Yes. That's Doug.
Yep.
Alrighty. Well, thanks for the info. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Take care. Happy Saturday. Alrighty. Let us dive into our second break while we're waiting for calls.
All right, let's do it. So, as we said earlier, Rademann's is open now on Saturdays, and you can head on out or give a call and see what's going on. But we're there and ready to help until noon on Saturdays, just 3 miles south of Fond du Lac. And you can exit off of Highway 41 or exit off of 175, I best, and it's County B to the east.
Lines are open for you, 920-923-1450, 888-900-1450. Email, it's kfizstudio@gmail.com. And if you missed any of the show, Ron's got a suggestion for you.
Yeah, we kind of were talking about it here on the break. We are on YouTube. You can either watch us or listen to this episode or last week's. If you start listening to last year's, the advice is usually off by a week or 2 or 3 because every year is just a little bit different
Weather-wise.
But yeah, if you search Landscape Smart 26, because this is 2026, that'll get you. It'll bring up this year's episodes. So just Landscape Smart 26. You can subscribe, and as Cody does them, usually on Sundays or early Mondays, it'll go right to your inbox, or otherwise just you can search and find us. Or you could go on KFIZ on demand too. And obviously, you can't watch then. You'd have to.
Which is to my benefit.
But you could listen. You could still listen, yeah.
I do radio for a reason. This
You know,
the whole YouTube thing is, foreign to me.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know, we're not usually too exciting to watch anyway, but you can turn it on YouTube and still listen to it. You don't have to look at our faces. You can still hear our voices.
I got a question for you. We're talking the pre-emergent, but I mean, there's bare patches and stuff in the lawn. How long do we have to wait from application of step 1 pre-emergent until we actually do some patch seeding, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, you'd probably want to wait 2 or 3 weeks after step 1 would be applied before you would do any, and I'm assuming it's going to rain 2 or 3 times in between there. So you'd want it to, either water it or rain 2, 3, 4 times before, and then scarify the soil and do your reseeding. Because if you do it too soon, it'll prevent your seed from germinating.
Works
so
on
you
grass
probably
seed.
want to wait, 3 weeks, maybe even a month. Every year is a little bit different, but
Maybe next summer.
yeah. Well,
Or
you
the
don't
fall.
really, and a lot of times, you'll be able to kind of tell if you start to see the weeds germinating and growing. Well, if the weeds germinate and start growing, the
grass will.
the grass will start germinating and growing too. So yeah, that would be the other thing. We talking about grass and fertilizers is you use different fertilizer on a new lawn or in a garden than what you do, for step 1 or step 2 or step 3. So if you're reseeding with parts of your lawn, you probably shouldn't have put step 1 down in the first place. There you'd want to just put your new, or if you're reseeding, let's just say in June, we have lawn fertilizer, and then we also have new lawn starter fertilizer. And whenever you plant grass, you should fertilize. If you don't use a fertilizer, your lawn, it'll germinate, but it'll be thin, it'll be bright green when it should be rich, dark green. The new grasses that do germinate won't expand. So if you're buying grass seed, you should be buying, a starter fertilizer with grass seed. Don't ever just plant grass seed. Out at Rademann's, we have the Madison Parks or some other blends too, depending on what you're using this part of your lawn for. If you're making a soccer field for the kids, we have different lawn seed blends than what we do if you want a nice front lawn, or if it's shady, we have the shady blends of seed. But in either case, no matter what you're buying, you want to fertilize it, and you can't just use regular lawn fertilizer with new lawns. It won't, it's going to have there's going to be things in there that contradict what you're trying to do.
Okay.
So
What's the 3-number combination for starter fertilizer?
well, it's mostly like it's a higher phosphate number and a lower nitrogen number. On Rademann's, it's like 9, 15, 12 or something like that. I could look it up here.
No, I just didn't know which one was higher.
But it's a lower nitrogen number and a higher phosphorus number. So it's your higher second number, and that is a root development fertilizer. So you'll get a better root system. If you have a strong root system, you'll have better grass. And, existing grass, that just needs the nitrogen, the first number, and that makes it green and grow. But a balanced fertilizer, like 1010, as we've had a couple of callers talk about that. But anyway, you want that higher second number.
Okay.
So,
Let's take a call. Good morning. You're on the air.
Oh, good morning. Is now the time to use the drench for my grapes for the box elder bugs?
I don't know for sure if that would. Are you talking a systemic that?
Yes, I put it on every year
Okay.
for the last 2 years now. You put it in a pail or whatever,
Yeah.
and pour it on.
This would be a good time for anything that's a systemic to prevent.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think it has been helping. I've used it for the last 2 years now, and I have very few elder bugs on my grapes.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
Alrighty.
You're welcome.
Thanks for the call. Lines are open now for you, 920-923-1450.
So that I just looked here, and the starter fertilizer that we have at Rademann's, it's 9-13-7. So it's pretty low in nitrogen, only 9%, and that starter fertilizer, it really works great in like vegetable gardens too, because again, it'll give your tomatoes a good boost without getting a lot of greenery. And it works well on carrots and beans and anything, potatoes, squash, cucumbers, anything like that.
The high middle number is more. It gives you better production and less
New
if
growth.
it's less new growth, because if you have just all nitrogen, it's making all this new growth, and then the fruits don't get enough, to make more fruits.
Mm-hmm.
So you want the high middle number for vegetables.
Okay.
And we have that like out at Rademann's available. It's in like 4-pound bags, and so you could pick up just one 4-pound bag and use it on your vegetable garden. It would be perfect, really.
Spread it around and mix it in.
Yeah, just
Sure.
sprinkle it around, and then rototill it in. Or it's not too late right now. It's only 9%
Right.
nitrogen, so it'll only last for about this spring season. You could even put some more on later on in the season, but it's just good to kind of help all the plants get going, whether it's grass or vegetables.
I have my own natural source of garden fertilizer.
And they have big ears.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's very
And they're not
good.
donkeys.
No, it's very good. You can actually put it down right away. It doesn't burn. It's got the correct.
So our cheapest solution for fertilizing the garden is to begin raising rabbits.
It is.
Except
Except it costs money.
gonna say
raise
that's not going to
rabbits.
be a cheap hobby either.
No.
Nope, I think you're better off
Buying the starter fertilizer.
Yeah. And we get those kind of questions too, because there's, some of these different composts, and, there you have to kind of experiment. Patty's been using it for 10, 20, 30 years. She kind of knows what she can get away with and what she can't. So, if you're starting out your garden, I wouldn't really recommend that, because you just don't know what you're getting yourself into, and you might end up with a total failure, because you just, you don't know when you buy a bag of commercial fertilizer and it's 9% nitrogen and 13% phosphorus and 7% potash, you know exactly what you're getting. You don't really ever know exactly what you're getting there. You kind of know after years of trial and error, let's just say, you learn how to use those types of fertilizer. But if you kind of want to err on the side of caution with those type of products.
A little too much can go a little too far.
Yeah, and then you just end up with a total,
You end up with a garden of pellets.
Well, you end up with tomatoes that are 10 feet tall with no tomatoes.
Okay. Let's take our final break.
So again, Rademann's open today till noon. Today's Saturday, 920-922-7612. Give us a call or stop on out. We're just 3 miles south of Fond du Lac. And then if you exit off of Highway 41 to the east. We're right there at the crest of the hill.
Alrighty, final segment, final few minutes. If you've got a question, this would be a really good time to dial 920-923-1450, 888-900-1450, or send us an email or a text. It is an email, kfizstudio@gmail.com, which Christine just did. And her question is can I trim an apple? Now, can I trim an apple? Well, she said trim an apple trim. I think she means trim an apple tree now.
Yeah. You still could.
Yeah, you're still
Yeah.
okay yet right now, but apples they're just starting to grow, so you want to kind of really get out there and do it this week, let's just say, and 2 weeks from now, no, because then you're gonna have a lot of new growth on it. But if you're going to have the buds are there, and the buds are just starting to open on most apple trees and things like that. So yeah, it's a good, real timely question. Do it this weekend or this week for sure.
It's a real good time to trim your roses and your hydrangeas right now too, because they're just starting to show their new growth, and you can tell where you want the shrubs to be, how you want to shape them. So this is perfect.
So
this week.
Yeah, those that kind of tips freeze back.
Yeah,
like
too.
Good point, great point, timely point, Patty, because the tips have froze back, but you kind of can see the active buds coming up right now. So you aren't trimming twice. You can trim them now because you can see exactly where they're going to be growing. That's on hydrangeas, and especially like Patty said, hydrangeas and roses. Mm-hmm.
Because I got to do it, and this is the week.
And the weather should be cooperating this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be a little bit easier. It's you're going to need almost your winter coat and gloves on if you're going to be, especially if you're.
This
it's a
week,
good time to be trimming roses. You need gloves on anyway if you're trimming roses.
Yeah.
So that part works out better than last week when it was 70.
Yeah, no. If you do it with short sleeves and not very, very heavy gloves, you're in big trouble.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But anyway, in 3 weeks, come to our Master Gardener plant sale, and we'll be there. We'll answer garden questions, and we'll have lots of different tomatoes that you don't find in the store, lots of different peppers. We grow them all in the greenhouse, Master Gardener grown. They're great. They're healthy. I went down last week and saw them, and they're just absolutely gorgeous. And Margie does such a wonderful job. And then
and there are a lot of master gardeners there to talk to.
There are, and we can. You got a question? We'll do our best to get you an answer.
If you don't have the answer, you can walk to another part of the show and get the answer.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be doing container designs for people that bring in or want to buy a container there for Mother's Day. And what else? We'll have the Master Gardener shop with all kinds of little Master Gardener art and different things. And
The goodies shop.
Yep.
That's fun. That's a fun stop there.
It is.
Yeah,
It is.
I don't get out of there without a purchase.
Well, that's good. We like that.
Yeah, I thought you did.
So it's 3 weeks from today, starting at 9 a.m. at the Cow Palace, and it lasts till 3. If you get there before 3, there's still lots of things you can still, find.
Mm-hmm. But
So-
the best selection's at 9.
Best, yes.
Yeah.
And that's May 9th.
May 9th,
Okay.
Saturday before Mother's Day, so you can come there and get your Mother's Day shopping done.
Perfect.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice. You may be very busy that day.
we usually are.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, even with the Mother's Day gifts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well.
especially. And I can speak from experience. Some of the best plants I've grown have come from that sale.
Yeah. Our vegetables are
They're really,
exceptional.
yeah, they are. They grow nicely and they're delicious.
Yes.
And you got a variety, like you said,
Yeah,
which is
big.
good.
You're not going to find the variety anywhere else
Mhm.
because we research and we trial things and we find all kinds of unique different vegetables.
All righty. Put it on your calendar so you don't forget.
Yes.
And plenty of parking.
Yes.
The other, she asked about the email question was about trimming fruit trees and apple trees right now. Now's the time to get your fruit tree spray and get ready there, because once they start growing, they're going to start blossoming, and then you're going to want to get that first application down of on your apple trees. So if you wait 2 or 3 weeks to go buy it, you can't get it down at the correct time. So be buying it now or in the next week or so that you're ready to go. Same thing like with your chickweed killers and your step 2. It's a little bit early yet for that, but it's not too early to stock up and buy. And that way you're ready here in a couple weeks when it's the best time to do those applications.
Well, the Jerry Schneider band is kicked in the background.
Uh-oh. Yeah, I hear him playing back there. So again, Rademann's open till noon today, Saturday, and open Monday through Friday till 4:30. And give us a call, 920-922-7612, or check us out on Facebook, or stop on out 3 miles south of Fond du Lac, and then east on County B off of Highway 41. We're right there at the crest of the hill.
All righty. Our thanks to Master Gardener Patty, as always.
You're welcome.
Thanks.